Okay. So, in this episode, what I wanted to do is probably talk about tools that you will most likely use. We will go into things like data types and things like that for the computer, but we're going to do that in C++ section. I think what we should focus on is let's get you started with what you might need, right? We're going to try to keep it all to free tools and see if we can find alternatives. So this is as we go. And I'm going to try to make it 15-minute video. Okay, so what are you going to need? Easily, the easiest first thing you're going to need is this thing. Cheat engine. You're going to need this thing. This tool specifically can read memory that your game has. Think of it like when you launch a game, Windows says, okay, I know you want to launch. How much memory do you want? Or do you want me to decide? And it depends. The game makes a deal with Windows, tells it what it wants, or Windows decides on its own how much it might need based on its own way of doing code. And it says, okay, I'm going to give you this empty box of memory, and you do whatever you want with it. You decide how you're going to work with it, but this is only in your box, and you have to use it the way you do it. Sometimes you can make a little window in your box, and you can exchange things with other boxes that Windows has, but for the most part, it's just the empty box, and then the game launches, loads its own things into that box that it needs. Yada, yada, yada. This tool allows you to basically attach yourself to that box, open this box up, and look at all these little things inside that box that the game did. So the game might say, hey, I want the health value, and I'm going to put a little tiny box inside the box that the Windows gave me. So we have a big giant box, right? Think of it like Windows, like, hey, here's a box, right? Excuse me, my crude drawing, but best representation. And then the game is like, okay, I want to put another box in here called health. Health. Right? I want to put health. I want to put another box here called ammo. Right? Right? And what you do with this tool is you give it like, put a little diamond over here. Cheat engine, right? I want to look and see what these boxes are. Sometimes your game will not allow you to do that, and you have to kind of go around underground, figure out how are you going to see this ammo and health box. And this is what you're doing with this tool. You're just looking into it and see where these values are, what the address of this box is, what is the value inside, what's the address, like basically address. Think of it like, okay, this box, right? Let's say this is the top view of this, right? And then it's like split. This is your memory inside that box. Each of these memories have, like, I'd say A1, A2, B1, B2, and then your health is like here, right? Your health is here. Well, the address of your health is A1. The value of A1 is equal to, let's say, 100. Right? And that's a simple way of how memory works. Now, sometimes you'll have your box interact with, like, say, grenade, right? Grenade and damage and things like that, and that they will interact with each other. And then you can use this tool to see, where's the tool to see, right? You can look into the memory and see, hey, I just saw this memory be written being like, okay, it was changed, right? It was added or subtracted from this memory and from this area, from this register. And you can see, oh, okay, this thing causes my health, right? The address where my health is to go down. And you can make a function to reuse that, to increase it, maybe to bypass it so that it doesn't remove your health. You can do many things. And this tool is specifically designed for you just to see it. Now it also has nice little handy things like, you know, Lua scripting, where you can make your own little cheats and hacks using this way, and you can adjust how assembly basically works and adjust how the functions and the registers change memory, write memory, right? You can do all that with this. But there's better tools for that. This is more rudimentary tools, but you can do a lot of crazy things with this. But it's still limited to Lua and is limited to what this cheat table can do. It's only limited to the memory. If you want more advanced things, you have to code it yourself or use more advanced disassemblers, decompilers, right? And we're gonna go into these actually right now. Do we erase here? Select, right? We can just do this. Perfect. So what are other tools? Cheat engine. What are other tools that we can use? So we know we can do memory. Might need to know how to do code. You can use something like this. Visual Studio Code. We went over this in the last video. And I think to do a quick rundown again, it's simply a really, really, really advanced text editor for your code. It is a little bit of an insult to say that Visual Studio is just a text editor, but on a baseline, it kind of is. But it has a lot of cool things, like easily to get features. You can open up command prompt, you can open up console, you can build things, debug. It has internal debuggers that attach to it. So in a way, yes, it is. It's its own IDE, integrated development. But if you, on layman's term, it's just a really, really, really advanced text editor as its main function, with cool things like on the side of it, right? That's basically most IDEs. That's basically how they work. Another good one, which is eventually you'll start using this as you go, is Visual Studio. And it's the same thing as Visual Studio Code, except a little bit, I won't say a little bit, but a lot more professional. Let me just do a little project. I don't think it's... Oh, come on. Just loaded in and I did. So let's say console project, C#. Can I do C++? Empty project, there you go. Right. Sure. Just do some delete it after. And let's go into the source file. I already forgot how to. Okay, and essentially it's the same thing as Visual Studio, but as you can see, needs a little bit more playing around with to get used to it. It's a little bit more complicated initially. I just installed it, so it's a bit different on my end, but essentially it can do exactly what the Visual Studio Code does, but a little bit more advanced in terms of debugging and testing. right? Performance testings and things like that. So it works a little bit better for that. It's a little bit more on the professional side in terms of like how you code. For the most part, you will never need Visual Studio. You will just need Visual Studio Code. Next, so now we know how we're gonna code, right? Or you also, there's something called code blocks. I don't know if I can do it here. Code blocks. There's another one. Might have heard of this one. Looks something like this. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing as Visual Studio Code and all that stuff. Okay, what's next? So we have a code editor. So let's say VS or VS Code. What else we need? We probably need a way to load our code into the game, right? So think of it like, right? Say here's your game, right? Game. Right? Well, you created your code with your hacks, right? Your hacks. Well, you need to find a way to place it into that box, right? It can't just be here. Your box doesn't know your hacks exist. There is no connection here. No connection. So you need, think of it, let's do it like a pipe, right? Do something like this, right? You need like a pipe that will grab this and then inject it into your code, to your into your game memory, right? Or game box, if you will. And to do that, you're gonna need an injector. Is this the injector? No. An injector. And you will grab your DLL file, which is a library of functions. Right? Think of it like an exe without the main function. And it will load into your game code. Right? You're kind of injecting your memory, your functions, your bit streams into the game memory. Okay, so now injector. The best ones I know is guided hacking injector, DLL injector. Also injector or code game. There's simple injector. Yeah, there's a simple injector. There's another one I forgot. Who's never used this one actually. Xenos injector. Ever heard about this one? Right. Now, okay. For now, just know that Xenos injector, GitHub DLL injector, or simple injector. You can also just search on Google free alternatives. What else are you gonna need? You're gonna need a hex editor. So think of it like if you want to edit directly memory of a DLL file or an exe, XD, right? This is a hex editor. Basically, you can just view kind of like where the memory, like the memory storage, or like the hex value storage of addresses or offsets. You're gonna modify it yourself in the DLL file. So hex editor, and honestly, this one is good enough. XSD. What do we do? We got hex editor, we got an injector, we have a code editor, we have a cheat engine for the memory, and you might need some disassembler. What's a good assembler? The industry standard is IDA Pro. IDA Pro is a industry standard. Now, it is expensive. So the free version should get you most things for the most part. So you can get the free version. You can pay for the pro version as well, right? It really depends if you want to do it. Now, you don't need to do this. IDA Pro alternatives. And basically, the closest you have is Hopper and Ghidra. The issue with them is because they're open source, they don't look the best, right? This is roughly how they look. They are your best free alternative. IDA Pro is just a little bit, kind of a lot better in terms of UI and how much you can do. You will also need Ollie Debug. Ollie Debug, easier just to explain it. Ollie Debug is a 32-bit assembler level analysis debugger for emphasis on binary code analysis. So think of it like it's a similar thing to IDA Pro, but it's more of an attachable debugger that you can see what's happening as it's running, type of thing. Right? While IDA Pro is more like, hey, I want to reverse engineer the program that I'm using with. Ollie is like, I kind of in between. I'm reverse engineering, but I'm also looking into what's actually doing. What else? Wireshark is specifically to see data being sent away and into your computer. So internet protocols. So that includes things like, packets sending back and forth for multiplayer games, for MMOs, for anything to do with basically internet connection. Anything leaving your computer into another computer or server, and anything getting received to your computer. WinDebug is, and then you also might need WinDebug, but that's for more like Windows specific drivers. Like if you're going to be doing kernel level of like disassembling and anti-cheat and things like that, you will need WinDebug. For now, don't worry about it. So let's go over what we're going to need. IDA Pro or Ghidra. For Hopper, you're going to need Ollie Debug, which is free, Wireshark, and WinDebug. So these are the tools that you will need going forward. This is 90% of what you're going to need. And the injector, and just a little note on Cheat Engine. A lot of times Cheat Engine might get detected. So you might want to use an undetectable cheat engine. So you can either do it yourself because cheat engine is an open source, or you can download this one right here that kind of has it already pre-made undetectable. Now it's not completely undetectable, but it's close enough for most anti-cheats. And you will need, I think that's just, of course, a DLL injector of your choice. I suggest this one because it's the easiest one to use. You can code your own. You're good enough for this, but for the most part, I would suggest just using this one when you're starting out. Yeah, I think that's it. That's most of the tools you're going to be using to do. Yeah, well, most of the things. I mean, when we start doing C++ and C, there's going to be tools that we're going to need for just coding it in general. But for cheat engine specific, or like for cheating in games, these tools for the most part, is 90% of what you're going to be using. 90%. Okay. Thank you guys for watching, and I see you next time. Next time, we will try to actually start getting into more of this stuff. Kind of getting this one by one out of the way so that you guys easily understand what we're doing. And in a way, this is a good way for me to relearn and practice. Okay. Thank you, and I see you guys next time.